Alrighty, so a little news of the week episode on this Thursday evening, and as we are now officially in the Leeds Cup break, and the Leeds Cup actually starts tomorrow, and that the MLS secondary transfer window is slam wide open. That means we're gonna have some signings and also some transfer rumors that is gonna be plenty for these next couple of weeks. And yeah, there were definitely some interesting signings, some interesting transfer rumor, especially from the Israeli league, because for some reason, it seems like this year, you know how in the last transfer window, it seems like MLS has an unofficial agreement with the Brazilian league because there's a lot of players coming from the Brazilian league come to MLS. Well, now it seems like it's the Israeli league that it seems like MLS have an unofficial partnership because there's a lot of players that are rumor or even signed from the Israeli league at least from this week's signings and transfer rumors. But we start off with the first news, which is FC Cincinnati. They have acquired defender, and again, I'm going to butcher some of these names, but I think it's Shidozo Awazim. That's how you pronounce it, from Bovavista. Now, from what I heard, he's a very good defender, and that, Cincinnati, they desperately need defender. I'm pretty sure the number one priority for FC Cincinnati and for Pat Nolan team is that they need a center back. They are just absolutely decimated in terms of the center back depth, and they hope that he's going to be a guy that at least will slot right in there and really solidify this defense because it's pretty clear that this team, if they want to continue to fight for the supporters shield or even contend for MLS Cup, they need to have some defensive reinforcement. These last couple of games has just shown that without that defensive reinforcement, they're not going to go very far in the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see whether if he is going to be a hit for this team. But now moving on into the next news, we got the Portland Timbers. They have signed Mason Toyce from Montreal in exchange for a second round pick and 200,000 general allocation money. Remember Mason Toy and how he is one of those players that I think he's going to go down as one of the biggest what if in terms of players in MLS because I still remember doing his day with Minnesota, and I'm pretty sure Loons fans still love Mason Toy and still keep up with what he's up to nowadays. And it's very unfortunate what happened to him after just an incredible season that he had in 2019. He just completely fall off the cliff, and mainly due to an injury that he suffered, and then during that COVID pandemic and that short season, and even in the MLS back tournament, he just never looked the same. Now, when he did go to Montreal, he at least looked pretty decent, at least in the first couple of months, but again, he's kind of found out of favored with Montreal as well. So he's definitely looking to try and revitalize his career with the Portland Timbers. Although I'm not sure Portland might be the right place for him to do so. And this, in some ways, kind of an interesting signing and a kind of a strange one because the Timbers are already pretty deep in terms of their attacking force, especially in that number 9 position. I mean, obviously they have their main number 9 in Jonathan Capacito Rodriguez, and they have Felipe Mora in that spot as well. They also still have Nathan Fugaza in that spot, so they're gonna have four number 9s in their roster. Which, yeah, that seems a little bit too much, even if they'll never decide to run a two striker system. But nevertheless, great to see that at least Mason Toy gets another chance. And there has been rumor that Mason Toy looks like he's unhappy doing his time with Montreal with the way that he's not getting some game time. And again, going to the Timbers, I don't know if that's the club you want to go to when you're looking to try to get some playing time. Consider again, this is a team that's pretty stacked in terms of that number 9 position. He's probably gonna just get buried down the depth chart, or if anything, probably gonna just make some cameo appearance for the Timbers. Now, Nashville, they have signed Australian midfielder Patrick Jasbeck from Viking FK. By the way, there's also a good number of Australian players that have signed in the league. It feels like the league is really started to, at least these MLS teams have really started to focus on not only sign Australian player, but also from the A League as well. Now, this is a guy that is not from the A League. He's actually from the Norwegian League with Viking FK, and we'll see how he, of course, would do. I mean, Nashville, they have a lot of problem right now. I mean, they have problems with their attack, they have problems in the midfield, and now they have problems with their defense as well. So at least this will kind of helps, and in some way, this maybe be a replacement for Tyler Boyd, who of course is done for the season after undergoing ACL surgery. So yeah, we'll see how, of course, he will do. But now moving on, and this is what I talked about earlier about. Well, it seems like MLS seems to now have an unofficial alliance with the the Israeli League because these next two signings came from the Israeli League. We start with FC Dallas signing on Angolan international defender Manuel who come from Mona on loan from Maccabi Haifa, and then DC United, of course, signing Boris Eno, also a midfielder from Maccabi Nintendo. Now, first of all, I just want to say that anytime when your nickname show, you know it's going to be a good signing. So hopefully this might work out well for Dallas, especially if they're a team that definitely need some midfield help, and the same goes for DC United as well. I mean, DC is kind of in the same situation as Nashville is. They need help everywhere, and we'll see whether or not if both of these players will do well. And keep in mind, one of the thing why a lot of MLS teams are looking to the Israel League is because we have seen a lot of good players that have coming into that league. I mean, guys like Gadi Kinda, William Agata, both of them come from the Israel Premier League. So there's definitely some hidden gems out there, and a lot of these teams are trying to do so as well. Now, moving on to talk about some contract extension, we had two teams that had hand out contract extension to their respective player, and funny enough, both of those teams are the team that I root for. So we start off with Minnesota announcing that they have signed Joseph Rosales to a multi-year contract. This is not a big surprise because Joseph Rosales has just been huge for this Minnesota team. I mean, he's at times been the glue to this team, and really, I think recently he's been the glue to this team because ever since Robin Led kind of started to struggle and have kind of cooled off after that good run of form that he had in the beginning of the season, he's been the guy that is basically carried that room. And again, what's weird about Joseph Rosales is that he's not a guy that for a left back you would not expect him to kind of act like a number 10 as we have seen throughout this season, and at times also just doing so well with those crosses. I mean, I think he's probably one of the best crosser in the league in my opinion. And again, will he deserve this multi-year contract? And I will not be surprised if there's going to be some teams that's going to become sniffing to trying to get him, because if he can continue to do this good run of form and really for these next couple of years during his contract, there's going to be a big team in Europe that is going to look to get Joseph Rosales. And then the San Jose Earthquakes, they have signed goalkeeper Emi Ochoa to a contract extension. Now, this is after there's been a lot of report that Emi Ochoa was probably going to be going to Mexico. I think Chivas was one of those teams that is looking to get him, but alas, it seems like the Quakes decided to sign their young goalkeeper. And in some way, I kind of wish that he get a chance. I mean, I know, yes, the Quake season has been absolutely disaster, and in some way, I can understand why maybe some fans would say that, kind of not let Ochoa uh, put him in this spot where he basically had just have no defense in front of him, and basically said good luck and hope for the best. And not to mention, right now you definitely do not want to put a young goalkeeper in there when you're basically giving up goals at a record pace like what the Quakes have done. But for me, I feel like why not give the youngster a chance? I mean, it might damage his confidence, but I feel like it can give an opportunity to see what Emi Ochoa is made of. I mean, he's done well in MLS Next Pro, and knowing the fact that the Quakes pretty much have just terrible goalkeeping uh, option right now. I mean, William Yarbrough, he's clearly not the answer. Same with Jacob Jackson as well coming in, and why not for Emi Ochoa and see how it is? Now, he's probably going to get absolutely battered because of the fact that the Quakes, as I mentioned, they have no defense whatsoever. But hey, again, it can't be worse. I think he's ready to be thrown into the fire, and that if you decide to give him a contract extension like that, and after decide to not let him go to another club, this is a chance for the Quakes to try to maybe put him in, and maybe even put some of the youngster in for the rest of the season, because it's a lost cause for the Quake season. This is a team that is clearly not making the playoffs. It's a team that is more closer to winning the wooden spoon than actually making the playoffs as we speak. So why not give some of these youngsters a chance and see what happens? Now, Inter Miami, they are set to sign Paraguayan center back David Martinez from River Plate. And by the way, now we're getting to the transfer rumor of the section of the news of the week. And first of all, I want to say does play LAFC this year. I don't believe that they, of course, play LAFC this year because I know they played last year. But in case if they do get to MLS Cup, yeah, it's going to be very confusing to see. There's going to be two David Martinez. I remember there was one year where I think it was Atlanta playing against Charlotte. Wasn't there like two Alan Franco playing against each other, and it was kind of confusing to see which Alan Franco it is. Is it from the one from Atlanta or is it the one from Charlotte? And it seems like now we're probably going to get the same case if David Martinez come in. Is it going to be the Paraguayan or is it going to be the young phenom Venezuelan from LAFC? But nevertheless, obviously this signing makes sense because Inter Miami, we know what their weakness of this team. It's obviously on the defensive end, and they're hoping that this is a guy that will help anchor that, especially with the way that I've heard some good things about him during his time with River Plate. There's no doubt that we'll see whether or not if he of course would turn out to be hit. So far, most of the signing that Inter Miami has thought has turned out to be a hit. So we'll see whether this will be the case. Because if they can solidify that defensive line, there's no doubt that I think Inter Miami could be a team that maybe you could say that they are the favorites to win this competition. As much as it hates for a lot of people to see that happen, but if Inter Miami can sort out that defense, this is a team that is legitimately an MLS Cup contender. Now, the New York Red Bulls, they are report to agree to sign former Everton midfielder John Philippe Mia, and this is a guy that even though he played for Everton, he actually played for a team in the second division of league. So yeah, it's a bit of an underwhelming signing. I mean, obviously, I think this is probably the replacement for Frankie Amaya, which I think that's going to be a big loss for the Red Bulls because Amaya was really good during his time for the Red Bulls. But we'll see whether or not if this signing will at least help a little bit. I mean, he's obviously got some big shoes to fill, and we've seen before when you decide to replace a guy that be so well in your position, it doesn't always live up to its potential. Now, Atlanta United, they are set to complete the transfer of Alexei Marinchenko for 15 million euros from Atalanta, and he's actually going to be undergoing a medical test. And once that medical test is over, the signing, of course, is done. And obviously, this is getting pretty close to being done. He's going to be the a new DP, and he's going to be the guy that replaced Thiago Almada in terms of that spot, and we'll see how of course, he does. I heard last year in Serie A, he was the leaders in terms of non-penalty kick goals. So yeah, he's a guy that not only could be a creative player, but also could be a goal scorer as well. So in some way, I think Atlanta is hoping that this is a guy that will combine the ability that they have with Thiago Mata and also the ability that Giorgio Yakimakis has with this team after he went to Cruz Azul. Either way, Atlanta is not going to be done this transfer window. They're going to spend big. They already were able to reinvest $50 million dollar this year throughout this transfer window alone, and knowing the fact that, as I mentioned, with these new roster rule, I'm pretty sure Atlanta is going to be very aggressive when it comes to the transfer they always do, and especially use up their U22 initiative spot because I think they still have a couple of them to use up during the summer transfer window. Now, Charlotte, they are also nearing a deal to sign Israeli youth international Eden Tukum. That's how you pronounce from Mississippi. Tikum. Again, I might have absolutely butchered that name. I apologize for that. But also, again, it's another player coming from the Israeli league, and something tells me that he probably got some connection from Leo Abada, saying that this is a good team to join, and why not? I mean, Charlotte has been very good this season, so yeah, we'll see if this deal, of course, will we do. I think he is a player that is more of an attacking minded player, which is something that Charlotte desperately need because again, with the way that Charlotte, they know that this summer what they need to do this summer, they need to add more attacking power. And even though I know with them getting back Kirill Shvedetsky, who a new signing, even though he's just coming back from his loan in Serie A, they still need some more attacking power to really get this team to a team that, as I mentioned, they're a dark horse in MLS in the Eastern Conference. They have made some statements in the East and get beating some good teams. If they can just get enough on the attacking talent, this is a team that could be sneakily good once playoff time begins. And then Columbus have reported that they are looking to sign Andres Herrera from River Plate on loan. Now, I'm assuming this is probably the replacement for Mariano Henestroza that they decided to loan him in Colombia, and that is kind of interesting. Henestroza, I thought he would be getting more time with the Columbus crew, but he's been kind of a guy that I think in hindsight they were hoping that he can fit into the Wilfred Nancy system, and it just kind of hasn't worked out. So we'll see if he with this new signing that they have, that of course will fix that. Obviously, I don't think it's a like for like replacement because this guy plays right back, and I think Hanstroza play more in the midfield area. But still, we'll see whether this signing, of course, would work out, and he'll make a little bit more impact than compared to what Hanstroza that really didn't make too much impact to this Columbus team. Now, RSL, they are reported to sign Australian winger Lachlan Brooks from Western Sydney Wanderers. So again, another player coming from the A League. We're starting to see more and more nowadays where MLS team are looking at the A League and finding some hidden gem. Although this is a guy that I think he's gonna be used more as a depth piece because RSL is completely loaded on the attacking end, and it doesn't help to always add some depth in terms of that. And from what I heard, it could be a good utility piece for this RSL team, and we'll see whether or not if this move does complete. And then last but not least, St. Louis, they are reported that they're looking to sign Fluminense striker John Kennedy. Now, from what I heard, he was a pivotal piece to Fluminense during their Copa Libertadores run, and knowing the fact that St. Louis, their main priority this transfer window is obviously looking on the attacking option, especially in the number 9 position, because Joe Floss, he has just not looked the same ever since that injury, and it's safe to say that it feels like, I wouldn't say they're ready to move on from him just yet, but they may need to think about a replacement, and this could be a guy to do so. Now, of course, this is just a report, and that this is actually probably the one that is close or the one that is not as close as the other rumors that I've talked about so far. So there's a chance that this, of course, does not happen. But if this does work out, then if he does play well for St. Louis, then they might have a Jaw Claus 2.0, or at least a Jaw Claus type of player. But before he, of course, suffered that injury in the beginning of St. Louis expansion season. Man, if Jaw Claus didn't suffer that injury in the beginning of St. Louis expansion season, who knows how good of a player he was? Because before he suffered that injury, he was an unstoppable force for the St. Louis City side. Though I will say that if they do, of course, does get the signing of John Candy, do me a huge favor, St. Louis. Maybe not play him when you play against FC Dallas because yeah, we know what happened in 1963 in Dallas in regards to that player's name that is similar to a sad event that happened there. But besides that, we'll see whether or not if this signing does happen. And then moving on in terms of the next news, and now talking about just general news not related to signings, rumors, or even contract extension, is that Diego Luna has says that he's now open to a one-time switch with Mexico after a U.S. Olympic snub. Now, obviously, I don't blame Diego Luna being very upset of not being on the U.S. Olympic team, and in many ways, I think it was a huge mistake leaving Diego Luna from the U.S. Olympic side. And by the way, looking at how the U.S. have done in terms of their Olympic run, yeah, it's not great whatsoever. I mean, they lost 3-0 in that game against France. I didn't really watch too much of that game, but from what I heard, it was very uninspiring, and it was also a game where this was kind of one of my fear about the U.S. heading into this Olympics, the fact that they just don't have any attacking talent whatsoever, and that there's a lot of question of where the goals is gonna come from. And while Diego Luna, I don't know if that he will, of course, change that, or whether or not if we they did have Diego Luna in that game against France, whether if that will improve their attacking form. One thing I will say is that well, I wouldn't say it. Actually, let me take that back. Of how I don't think it would have still propelled the U.S. to win the game. It will definitely help them in terms of the attack. I'm just really surprised that they decided to not bring Diego Luna there. And the decision originally was bring him to there, but at the last second they decided to put Georgi Mihailovic in there. And don't get me wrong, I know Georgi Mihailovic had a good season so far for the Rapids, but I think he is still nowhere near as good as what Diego Luna has done this season for RSL. And again, I don't blame Diego Luna being absolutely frustrated about this, and even said that, hey, if you don't play me, then I'm gonna switch to Mexico and I'm gonna represent our tree instead. And if that is the case, I mean, I don't blame him, but at the same time, that's another example of the incompetency of the U.S. letting go of a potential good talent to join our tree. Now, moving on in the next news. So, speaking of the Olympics, a couple of days ago, we have heard that the Canadian Soccer Federation is kind of in hot water again. I mean, what is going on with the Canadian Soccer Association? The CSA, I swear, if you fought the U.S. Soccer Federation, and there's a lot of controversy that is going on and a lot of incompetency, you have not seen what's going on with the CSA. Like the CSA, I don't think throughout the time on my channel I have said anything positive about that federation, because so far every time when I mention the Canadian Soccer Association, there's always tends to be some negative things and some scandal that is involved. And now it seems like there's a latest scandal involving creating Spygate and using drone to spy on opponent. Because after a couple of days, we have heard that they formally apologized for basically spying on New Zealand's women's team in terms of their upcoming match, and that actually led to the Canadian women's head coach had to resign because of that. Now there's a alleged rumor that they have been using drone to spy for years for men's and women's game, and again, something tells me that something has to be done with the Canadian Soccer Association. And I know they have done a great job in terms of building up this golden generation, but the people that is in charge of that association, man, as I said, if you thought the U.S. Soccer Federation is incompetent, the Canadian Soccer Association and the people that's running it is next level incompetence because of the amount of scandals that has happened. And this again is just the latest black eye in terms of this proud association that has really built up a very good national team in recent years. And if this, of course, is true, then there's gonna be once again a heavy penalty that the Canadian Soccer Association will have to pay. I mean, surely there has to be, because again, this feels like it's Spygate all over again. We have heard Spygate situation happen in other sports as well. I mean, the most famously is what we saw with the New England Patriots did a couple years ago, and also what Michigan did a couple of years ago involving Spygate. But now it seems like we're seeing with the Canadian national team as well, and yeah, just not a good look for the CSA, and just not a good look in terms of Canada soccer as well. Now, moving on, we got MLS senior VP Ali Curtis have said that there is a chance where MLS will indeed implement that rule that I mentioned in the last News of the Week episode, where only captain can talk to the referee. Now, this was a rule that was introduced during the Euros, and depending on who you ask, it might have worked out well, though some people said that it didn't really change that much. And I did talk about extensively about what my feeling of this. I mean, I think there could be a mixed bag in terms of if this rule does implement, but if it is going to implement, we'll see how effective this rule will be. And that again, one of the things I've also want to just quickly mention that I mentioned last week. My concern about this rule is how is this going to be implemented, and how consistently it's going to be implemented. And that one of my also so biggest fear is that if you have players that surround the referee, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna hand yellow card to everybody? Because if you do that, there's a chance we might have many games that's gonna not gonna finish 11v11 because of it. And then MLS also said that in the MLS expansion push is actually doing very well right now. In fact, when Don Gabber did his address doing did his press conference before the MLS All Star game, he mentioned about Indianapolis and their and them doing a very good job in terms of getting ready to be the next team to expand in MLS. Now, one thing that Don Gabber have also mentioned is the fact that they're gonna stop expanding after 30 team, but he's also open for a 31st and 32nd team to come to MLS, and that's also kind of makes me want to do a video eventually about the 31st and 32nd team, and I probably will put Indianapolis as being kind of the next team, because they are really seriously pushing about this, with the way that for the past couple of months it all started with the mayor really pushing hard to build an MLS stadium to have and push for an MLS team in Indianapolis. There is serious talk that Indy could be that 31st MLS team. But one thing that they all MLS have also mentioned, and Don Gabber has mentioned, is that they're still in the beginning process, and it is true, because while yes they have done many votes in terms of approving this proposal to bring an MLS team to Indianapolis and building a stadium as well, it is still in a very early stage. At best, I will say that they probably won't be ready. Probably at the earliest, maybe 2026 or even 2027. And then, and we also talk about expansion wise, we're gonna get to the point of expansion where we might have just way too many teams after two conference being separated. There's been talks about how the league should be expanded into four different division, and of course I can explore that idea furthermore when we do an expansion type of video as well. But either way, there could be a case that that 31st MLS team will indeed be Indianapolis. And then lastly, as I mentioned, today is the day where it's going to be 1 day away from the Leeds Cup tournament. It's the second annual Leeds Cup tournament where MLS team for every MLS team will be facing against every Liga MX team. And again, I already mentioned how this Leeds Cup has been surrounded by a lot of controversy, especially with the way that ever since when we saw what happened to the U.S. Open Cup, a lot of people and a lot of supporter groups have been very upset about this Leeds Cup, and a lot of them have now released their own statement in terms of regarding with Leeds Cup. Some of the supporter group outright said that they're not attending these Leeds Cup games. They're just downright boycotting this tournament. There are some supporter group that said that we'll still attend it, but we're definitely do not still gonna keep in mind the fact that we do not like the fact that the Leeds Cup is one of the main culprit in terms of ruining what the U.S. Open Cup is. Now, as I said before, I have given my opinion for the Leeds Cup, and I am still kind of leaning toward that part where I say that this Leeds Cup is kind of have ruined in terms of so what could this tournament could be because of all the controversy surrounding, especially with it regards to the U.S. Open Cup. But I would also like to say that I'm not going to be boycotting this tournament this time. I'm still going to do reviews, although I said before I'm not going to review as much game as I did, at least in the group stage. That is, I'll probably only review like the marquee game during the group stage, and also reviewing games that is involving my team, because obviously I'm definitely going to be still watching my team play in the Leeds Cup tournament. And the other thing that I think the reason why as much as I can understand a lot of supporter group want to boycott this and hope that it makes a statement. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do it, especially with the way that one thing I will say that could maybe change people's minds is one, if the competition is going to be exciting, just like what we saw last year, because last year we saw some really exciting Leagues Cup game. Then all of a sudden, those talks about this tournament has ruined U.S. Open Cup will kind of go away, and not to mention the attendance wise, I know it's not going to be good in terms of attendance. Some might say it could even be worse if it's especially going to be an all MLS matchup. But if it's going to be an MLS matchup versus a Liga MX matchup, especially with those Liga MX team that have a stronger fan base, those games are definitely going to be sold out. I mean, don't tell me that a game between an MLS team in America is not going to be sold out. It's going to be sell out no matter what. And even though Inter Miami will not have Messi in this Leagues Cup tournament, I still think that there's going to be a big attendance for this Miami game, because there's still some good players on that team that of course is not met besides Messi. But yeah, I do think that the in terms of the revenue itself, I think the league would use this as a way to justify that. Yeah, we're gonna keep this tournament stick around in the near future. But one thing I also want the league to do is that eventually they're gonna have to do something about this situation with the U.S. Open Cup, and that again, the right thing to do is just bring back the situation where every MLS team gets to participate in the tournament, and that they have the option of maybe putting just their second team in, or just playing their main team. But also I can also understand that the league have also said that it's maybe not possible because of fixture congestion, and not to mention that they have used the evidence of the fact that the lack of crowd and the lack of fan interest in terms of the tournament plays a big part of why they are really started to diminish the looks of the U.S. Open Cup. Though the other side would basically argue the fact that they haven't done a good job in terms of marketing and really broadcasting these games as well. Either way, it is a video or a discussion I can easily make a video about. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Will you watch Leeds Cup? Will you still root for your team doing Leagues Cup, I mean, I'm still gonna root for Minnesota and the Quakes doing the Leagues Cup, especially the Quakes too, because with how disastrous this season has been in the league, it feels so refreshing. The fact that it's almost like for all these players, it's a relief that they're now in this tournament because they can just put those horrible part of the league the league season away, and that if they can do a good run, then it's considered to be successful. But as always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video and whether if you're going to be very interested toward the Leeds Cup. And also, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news and any news I didn't mention here on the board as well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.